Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a musical mystery, really. We're talking about the Tame Impala phenomenon.
I mean, this is it, right? This is the big question we're trying to answer. How on earth did one guy from literally the most isolated city in the world end up completely changing the sound of pop music? It's this wild journey from a solitary bedroom project to a force that just remapped everything. It's a story all about isolation, obsession, and a sound that somehow bent the entire mainstream to its will.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Our story kicks off in Perth, Western Australia, and you gotta understand, this place, its sheer isolation, was kind of the perfect breeding ground, you know? It was the perfect incubator for a totally unique artistic voice, far, far away from the pressures of the big music industry hubs.
So, long before we got all those dreamy synths we know as Tame Impala, Kevin Parker was actually channeling his creative energy into this other project called the Dee-Dee-Dums. And it was totally different. Think muscular, riff-heavy, super indebted to 70s bands like Cream. This was his starting point, a much more conventional rock sound.
But then, around 2007, something just clicks. A massive seismic shift happens. Parker's sound just completely veers away from all those heavy riffs and transforms into what one of his bandmates called a blissed-out, pretty melody psychedelic thing. And really, that was the moment Tame Impala was truly born.
So this brings us to what I think is the core paradox of Tame Impala. There's this huge difference between what we think the project is and how the music is actually physically made. So check this out, because this is where it gets really interesting. You go to a Tame Impala show, right? You see this full, 5-piece band just killing it on stage. But the reality, on the records, every single sound you hear, I'm talking every drum hit, every bass line, every single vocal, is written, performed, and produced by Kevin Parker, alone.
And what's crazy is, in the beginning, he actually saw this as a weakness. He even admitted to lying about it to journalists. He'd claimed the whole live band was in on the recordings because, honestly, he just didn't have the confidence yet to say, yeah, this is me. This is my solo project.
And because he was working alone, it meant he could evolve at this just breathtaking pace. I mean, look at this timeline. He goes from the pure 60s psych rock of Inner Speaker in 2010 to the completely synth-drenched world of Lonerism just 2 years later, and then boom, the massive radical pivot to pop on Currents in 2015. And we'll get to that one in a minute for sure.
And this right here, this is a perfect example of his totally unorthodox methods. That signature Tame Impala drum sound, that pumping feel, that's basically the foundation of the whole vibe, it all comes from this super specific, really aggressive recording process. We're talking simple mics and a vintage limiter just to literally squash the sound. That's how he gets that incredible, saturated, heavy character.
Okay, so now we get to 2015. And this was a moment, a pivotal moment, that wasn't just going to change his career, it was about to change the entire sound of music for the rest of the decade.
So what happened? Well, apparently he had this huge revelation while he was listening to the Bee Gees, just a light bulb moment. He realized he didn't have to hide his love for pop music anymore. So he made a conscious choice to move away from distorted guitars and instead start chasing that purity and clarity he'd always loved in pop and disco. And this pivot came with an absolutely fanatical perfectionism. I mean, he started treating his own live instruments like they were just samples to be looped and messed with. His dedication was so extreme, get this, he reportedly did over 1,000 vocal takes for just one part. 1,000, just to get it perfect.
And the result? Well, it was an absolutely epic, defining success. Just one song, The Less I Know the Better, became this massive global anthem, a viral sensation that, as you can see, has now racked up over 2 billion streams. And that's just on Spotify.
So here's the really crucial point. Currents wasn't just a hit album. It became a blueprint. It basically set off this huge domino effect across the industry. Critics argue that this album pretty much created that atmospheric, kind of genreless sound of the streaming age, inspiring a whole generation of bedroom pop artists that came after.
All right, so he's established this new sound. What happens next? Well, his influence starts to spread, directly. He becomes one of the most sought-after producers in the entire world.
I mean, look at this list. He's bringing that psych-tinged production to hip-hop royalty. We're talking Travis Scott, Kanye West, and then more recently he becomes a primary architect for a superstar like Dua Lipa on her album Radical Optimism. He's the guy helping her pivot towards this whole new psychedelic UK rave-inspired sound. And all of this work, all this influence, It finally culminates in his first ever Grammy win. And what's so interesting is, it wasn't even for a Tame Impala record, it was for Neverender, his collaboration with the legendary French electronic duo Justice. That right there, that just cemented his status at the absolute top tier of the music industry.
So he's at the top of his game. His sound has become a global standard. But in classic Kevin Parker fashion, just when you think you have him figured out, he decides to pivot. Again.
So for his latest album, Deadbeat, where does he look for inspiration? He goes right back home, to the gritty underground bush doof scene in Western Australia. These are basically remote outdoor raves, and he just wanted to capture that raw energy and create a soundtrack for it.
And this new sound, this stripped-back, minimalist electronic album, it turned out to be his most divisive record yet. I mean, look at this. It split the critics right down the middle. You had some praising its raw honesty, while others just hated it, calling it stale and exhausting. No in between.
And at the same time he's doing this, he moves into a totally different world, hardware. He creates his own synthesizer, called the Orchid. And the whole idea behind it is pretty cool. It's designed to be an ideas machine for people without formal music training. It lets you create these really complex, beautiful chord progressions super easily. And yeah, as you can imagine, the first runs sold out almost instantly.
I think this quote just nails it, you know? It perfectly captures his whole journey. His legacy isn't just about the Tame Impala albums anymore. It's everywhere. It's like his sound has smeared itself across the entire DNA of modern pop music. The story of a guy in a bedroom who somehow bent the entire mainstream to his own unique rhythm.
So that leaves us with this one last thought. He's gone from a bedroom loner to a global architect of sound. For an artist who is defined by nothing but constant, relentless change, from psych rock to global pop to minimalist electronica, what on earth could he possibly build next? Honestly, it's anyone's guess.